I decided to write the book during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, I knew that we weren't coming back after the schools closed around March, I guess. And I figured, well, that year is shot. And then I figured after the summer, things may not pick back up again. Yeah. And we may go a whole year being out of school,
Meet James Wingo, author, speaker, and a great advocate for young black men.
So I just wanted to put my time to use, and I decided to write the book. And it all came from this 8th grade student at FDR here in Cleveland, yes, who wanted one of my books during one of my workshops. And I said, no, you can't have my book, And I felt kind of bad about that I said that, So the next time that we met, I tried to research and look for a book that I could give them, but I couldn't find any books that address boys of color, as far as dealing with self-esteem, self-awareness, and manners, etiquette, and the like, So there's a quote by Toni Morrison. Well, she says, if you can't find the book that you want, then you have to write it.
Hey Cleveland, I'm Deante, and I'll be speaking to you. Welcome to Deante Speaks to Cleveland. This is Season 1, Episode 2, and it's called It's Not About the Pinkie.
I am a former school counselor, and I have 2 degrees, one in one in school counseling, and also supervision and administration. So my background is primarily working in education through the school systems, and I've come up from being a substitute teacher to a school counselor to a director of counseling to the executive director of student and family support services throughout my years.
So for you guys watching or listening, he's basically saying that he's really a big deal. Now, you said something really interesting. You said substitute teacher.
Right.
Now, when I was in school, the substitute teacher meant you could just act a fool. Did you ever deal with kids just saying, oh, we got a substitute today, let's just go crazy?
Well, they would try me. This was back in the 70s in Atlanta. So usually the teacher leaves a guide as far as the lesson plan, what they're doing. And of course the kids are going to say, we did that already, we did that. And say, well, we'll just go over that then. But it wasn't too wild back then, but they will try you.
Wow. Yeah, I would never want to try you. I'd be afraid. It's like that, what was that Morgan Freeman movie, Lean on Me?
Oh, Lean on Me? Yeah. No, that wasn't me.
So I met James at Loganberry Books at an event called Author Alley. I was impressed with his dedication and mission to educate middle school age young black men with his book, The Manners Playbook.
In the mid-'80s, I worked for New York City schools and also worked for the Boys Choir of Harlem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, New York City, how does that differ from Cleveland?
Much larger. Brooklyn, which is one borough, is larger than Cleveland. Twice the size of Cleveland.
Wow.
Maybe even 3. Yeah, it has over 1 million people in their borough alone. 2 million probably.
How did you get started being an author? Because that seems like you have to be born with it, but I guess maybe you don't. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I thought the same thing. I never considered myself as an author because I didn't go to school for it, for journalism and communication, or just to write books and go to workshops. I really thought my writing was average, that I could try to get information out, but that would be just for papers that I had to do or emails that you converse with people, different things of that sort.
One of the reasons why James is so important is that not many people are talking to young black men. His influence can have a generational effect.
Wow. So I already had materials, so I figured it was just trying to format it in a way that it could be readable, to put into narrative form. So that's what I did over about 6 months maybe.
So the pandemic was really the catalyst to you becoming this really influential person with your book.
Yes, because how many movies can you watch all day?
Yeah.
And we were really stuck in the house, you know. So I'd wake up sometimes at 4 o'clock, just start writing, you know. And back then, I think it threw our time element off, where you were used to going to bed at 8 or 9 and then waking up at 6. That was out the window during the pandemic, because, you know, you'd wake up at 10 or you wake up at 12. So whenever I woke up, if it was quiet, I tried to put some things together as far as how I wanted to present this material.
Wow, I wish I knew where that the eighth grade boy was right now, because he really, he's like deserves co-credit for this. Right,
and I don't know how to find him. So right now he should be in high school, probably around the 11th. And I was looking over old sign-in sheets, and I couldn't figure out who the kid is.
Oh man, that's going to be an iconic story. So I've found that as an author, we have such a responsibility to serve people with our message. If you are the parent or grandparent of young black men, please order James's book.
He challenged me, and I didn't want to give him the book because the book is real thick, and this book is by Emily Post.
Yeah.
All right, so some of the material in Emily Post I have to retranslate so that the boys can understand what they're talking about, because a lot of the instances or things that she suggests, we don't grow up that way, you know, and you really don't want to slight someone. You know, like I said, it's not about the pinky, whether you hold it up. It's about you being cordial when someone comes into your household. Yes. So just because you have paper plates and plastic knives and forks does not mean that you don't have manners and etiquette. And sometimes our boys think that if you don't have the top of the line, then they're not included, you know. And that's not really necessary. It's really how you treat people.
Yeah, I think I needed you about 1985, because I didn't really have etiquette. I was just eating the Doritos straight out the bag, even though when I was sharing it with other people. So I needed you, man. I mean, it's pretty much common sense that we all have to learn everything we know from somewhere, right? I personally would have benefited greatly from James's book when I was 8, or even 8 days ago. But what I want to know is one thing to be inspired to write a book, but how did you really understand or learn how to write it, put it together, and publish the book?
Well, I started contacting people that I knew who wrote books, you know, and one is Margaret Bernstein. She wrote The Dad Story. So I called just to say, how did you go about it? Who's your publisher? And then there's another friend, Cheryline Harris. She wrote a book, and I asked her the same thing, and they told me how they went about looking for publishers. So I just started Googling, you know, trying to find publishers of color for them to help me publish my book. And I didn't want to write the book and start sending a manuscript out, you know, because I know they're going to turn it down. I felt that they were going to turn it down and go through all of those kind of procedures. So I really wanted to publish it and then just go from there.
I strongly urge you to reach out to James Wingo. He is going to change lives.
I found Publish Your Gift, and it's a publishing house by an African-American woman named Ty Davis. And her company is an all-in-one company, meaning that they help you on the editing, on the proofing, how to get your cover, recommending the size of your book, the quality of the paper, how to put pictures in. You know, you don't have to go outside of them in order to get the help. And that's how I chose them to help me with my book.
Wow, that is impressive. Now, is there a reason why the specificity of your book being for African American boys, was that intentional, or was that just where things were leading you to be?
Oh, that was definitely intentional. The whole purpose behind it is that I felt that there wasn't a book that addressed our young boys as the feature of the story. A lot of times you'll see a book and the characters in the book are people who don't look like us, and they use them as examples. And I wanted to take the way some of us has grown up, whether we grew up in the hood or we grew up in the suburbs. You know, there's going to be different things that we can relate to. So I try to utilize that in the book. So it's not just about someone who's down and out and can't make it. It's also for those who are striving to be great. And how do we use those examples of where we came from to move forward? I was curious as to how James Wingo's book, The Manners Playbook, has been performing. So I had to ask. I've been getting good responses from it. I've got responses from teachers, administrators, students, grandparents, and just people that I've never met before. I kind of diminish friends because they're going to tell you what they want you to hear. You know, oh, this is so great. You know, this is a wonderful book. Have you read it? I haven't finished it yet, but it's like, okay, you really haven't read the book, but I thank you for supporting me, you know. Yeah, so mainly it was written for young boys from grades around the 6th grade up until the first year of college. You know, but there's an administrator in Philly who loved the book, and she has her adult education class reading it. And they loved it so much that they switched their prom to a dinner. So they decided not to have a prom, but to have a dinner and focus on table setting and just being cordial to one another.
And now another great word from Pastor Wayne Dawson.
How great is our God? How great is our God? I just stopped by to tell you, He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. How great is our God? How great is our God? He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. How great is our God? How great is our God? He's the bright morning star. I just stopped by to tell you, He is everything to me. How great is our God? He is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. How great is our God? He's that wheel in the middle of a wheel. How great is our God? He's Jehovah Jireh. He is my provider. How great is my God? He's Jehovah Rapha. He's the God who heals. How great is our God? Woo! Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
How can I make an impact to these young boys so that they don't have to say, I wish I had knew that earlier after they've been in a situation, you know?
And see, that's why I say that this book is already transforming and is very transformative, because let's face it, there's a lot of negative images out there of African-American boys and men.
Right.
Whether it's movies, whether it's music, whether it's just a perception of people.
Right.
And so we need to somehow counteract that, and this, you know, starts to tip the scales in the other way. Of course, long way to go, but it's a great start. That's why I was wondering how it's been received.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it would be great if I could reach a larger audience, and that's why I'm here.
Right.
You know, but the main thing was just to get it into schools, to get it into organizations, and to utilize the book as a discussion topic with another adult. So whether it's a mom, a father, or a grandparent, aunt, or uncle, I give a couple of suggestions. I don't necessarily tell them, here's what you need to do, but I say, here's a couple of suggestions. So if you have a parent that's reading the book and say, well, look, he said that maybe you should clean your room twice a month. Do you think that's fair? Do you think that's enough? It's like, no, I have too much junk. I need to do it once a week. Right. You know, so that's a good discussion that they should have along with what the tips that I gave.
James Wingo is the man, for real.
A lot of our young men, they know what the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest decision to make. It's the easy decisions, just doing the wrong thing, where it gets them off the hook, or they bend to peer pressure, you know. So I'm trying to give them courage just to be confident, to try something new and different, and take the right path.
So with them knowing what to do, like you said, sometimes, why do you think that this is a problem for black men, like the manners and all that? And I guess you can call it toxic masculinity when they get older, even into high school. Why do you think a lack of manners and all that self-awareness is a problem for them?
Well, some of them believe that that's showing weakness, or you're being soft, that you're being mannerable. You know, that you're telling somebody thank you. You're telling somebody I apologize for doing that. And it's like, hey, what do you mean? No, you don't have to do that. You know, no, we gotta fight back on that. Like, no, not really. You know, let's think about what happened.
Tell them, James. They need to hear it. They might not want to hear it, but they need to hear it.
That's the self-awareness, knowing who you are, but having the confidence to do the right thing. you know, and that's what a lot of our young men are lacking, is confidence. And when it moves to the social arena, that confidence prevents them from stepping out into society. They feel society doesn't want us, why should I go? You know, I'm not dressed properly enough to go into this restaurant, so I'm not going to go. Or I'm not going to go to the prom because I don't know nothing about a tuxedo.
Yeah.
I don't know how to rent a car, you know, and I don't have a date, you know. So why am I going to put myself on blast for that? So it's to have that confidence, you know, just to take that step, to take those risks and enjoy what is out there.
Where I didn't achieve, you will achieve. Annie L. Dawson. Fueled by those prophetic words and constant reassurance from his mother, Wayne Dawson overcame the crime-ridden neighborhoods of his youth, his parents' spiraling marriage, and years of juvenile delinquency to become one of the most beloved and successful broadcasters in Northeast Ohio television history. The Seeds of Greatness Are Within You, a memoir, is the highly anticipated debut of Dawson, the author. He is already an 11-time Emmy winner, a member of the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and the Cleveland Press Club. The Seeds of Greatness Are Within You, a memoir, will be released November 29th. Pre-order your copy where books are sold.
My workshops deal with mentoring young men, and when I say young men, I mean 6th grade to 8th grade, all right? And it's either to teach them about how to protect their legacy, or what is a legacy, what is manhood, what is fatherhood, how to succeed in college, in high school, because that's their next venture, you know, and how to be more sociable, you know. Right now is also teaching them about attire, because how you present yourself gives a person an overall view of who you really are, you know. And even though we're stigmatized sometimes, you know, I dress casual at sometimes, but it depends on what the situation is. And I'm trying to teach them about situational, you know, situational social interaction, situational dressing attire, you know, how do you make a friend? Basic. And a lot of guys don't know how to make a friend, you know. They feel might be soft, or you got to come hard, or just being sociable may lead to other things, you know.
Yeah, whenever I worked for corporations, they call that soft skills. They don't have the soft skills, and I think that effective communication is what gets you anywhere. You can go far without even being that talented. If you have effective communication, you can really go far with things. I just want to make sure I'm looking sexy. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled programming. What's next for you? More books, speaking, or I hope you're going to keep this train moving.
Oh yes. Well, I'm going to continue my workshops. That's most definitely, and still promote the book. You know, so I don't have any plans for a second book right now. Just trying to work this genre, getting the book out. So I thought the hardest part was writing the book, but now I see that was the easiest part.
Right.
The hardest part now is marketing and doing the right thing and promoting yourself. And you know, for me it's kind of difficult to ask people for money, you know. I'm not really used to that, you know, trying to sell something.
Right. But
it's really selling myself. So I believe in myself, so I try to place the book in front of me so I can do a better job, you know.
That's good. Let's see the book right now. Show
yes.
Yeah, that is it right there. That book is a game changer. It's, like I said, it's such a beautiful product, and inside and out, it's going to help many people across many spectrums. Personally, I'm just very grateful to have met James Wingo, because he is a man that knows a lot, has experienced a lot, and is using his life experiences in the service of other people. James, you are a gentleman and a scholar, and I am so grateful for you. What advice would you give someone who say, you know what, I wanted to write a book because I had this or that thing, but I just didn't do it. So what can you say to them?
Well, I would just say, just start writing, you know, especially if you have a story to tell. Just start writing, and then start doing research on how to publish a book. You know, there's a very easy access with Amazon, or you can go the route of finding a publisher, or you can submit your manuscript to a publishing house. You know, so the easiest step is just to start writing, and you can do simple things. There's libraries now that will print your manuscripts, you know, so having it typed out and print it, publish it, very economical to do that.
I strongly urge you to reach out to James Wingo. He is going to change lives.
Well, right now you can connect with me by email, which is WingoJam. That's WINGOJAM at sbcglobal.net. I also have a website, and that's globalecs.net, and have information in there.
Wow, this is awesome, and I feel like you blessed us. You most definitely, my gratitude is endless for you. I adore you. I think you're just phenomenal, and I know you're going to go to bigger and greater heights.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Young, and I appreciate this opportunity.